Down, down, down
Down
the
the
road,
road,
down
down
the
the
witch's
witch's
road.
road.
Hello and welcome to May the Review Be With You with Nick and Joe. I'm Joe.
And I'm Nick.
And today we are talking about the finale of Agatha All Along. We are at the end of the road, and what a trip it has been.
Down the road.
Down the witch's road.
There we go.
I forgot
watching
this
you
is
there.
a coven. This is a coven,
This is
and
a
the coven
coven.
supports each other.
This is a
Be
coven of
there
two.
at the end.
Coven of two, just like Billy and Agatha.
Covens around me tend to die, just FYI. Agatha All Along. Extremely excited to talk about this with you today, Nick. Nick, how are you feeling about the finale and the season overall?
Extremely happy. It's like a perfect story. I really don't have a lot of dislikes. That's later in the episode, but this was done so well. And dare I say, Marvel is back, baby.
Marvel might be back, man. Marvel really might be back because like we have been pretty consistent with our hits. Agatha All Along. We had of course Deadpool and Wolverine. What was right before Deadpool and Wolverine? That was actually really great. Drawing a blank on it. Maybe it wasn't that great. Shoot. X-Men 97. X-Men 97 was amazing.
X-Men 97 was good. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, we are at least, I might be missing something there, but we are at least three hits in a row for Marvel.
Mhm.
Marvel might be back, baby. Let's go. Get the haters out of here. And you know what? I will own up to this. I have been consistent with this on this channel.
Mhm.
I did not want this show. When I first heard about Agatha All Along, maybe a year or two ago, whenever they made that announcement, I was like, this is probably what I'm least excited for. Oh, no, I think it was Echo. It was Echo and then Agatha All Along that I was like, I don't care about either of these things. And Echo was like, it was mildly entertaining. It's not something I will ever probably go back and rewatch.
Mhm.
This I'm so glad I was wrong about.
Dude.
I want this to be a part of my Halloween watching life for the rest of time.
Yeah, this is so rewatchable. It's crazy how good it is on the rewatch. Like, to your point, Echo was good, but not something I ever really kind of want to go watch again. But this is an immediate, like, I have to rewatch this episode right now after just finishing it. It's exciting because, you know, rewatching the whole MCU movie timeline and TV show timeline is really just a fun thing to do. Like, I'm currently in the midst of that right now, and we're like our next one is Black Widow. But the great part is, like, there's a whole bunch of TV shows and obviously the new phases to watch as well. And so some of them you might want to skip, like Secret Invasion, because it kind of sucks. But
I like to believe that that's no longer part of the MCU timeline.
we can only hope. But like getting to Agatha All Along is exciting as heck. So, and the great part is
Exciting as Hex.
Hex. Whew. I see what you did there. But the cool part, it's almost kind of like, right, we had talked about this on a previous episode. It's really like a trilogy of a TV series, right? Because you have WandaVision, you have Agatha All Along, and then Vision. The Vision series is supposed
Vision
to kind
Quest.
Of,
Yeah.
Vision Quest is supposed to kind of be like the third part of these stories. So exciting times in the MCU.
Yeah. And I gotta say, like, is just as far as like coming off the high of the finale of Agatha, it is so fun for me to look at this finale and realize how it recontextualizes not just Agatha All Along, like going back in the rewatch value that you can get out of rewatching the season, but also WandaVision. I actually, every time Agatha All Along ends, Disney recommends, hey, you might be interested in watching WandaVision if you haven't watched it already, you big weirdo. And rewatching that with the idea of who Agatha actually is and what she's actually lost along the way, it makes WandaVision a lot more interesting to watch, especially with her interactions with Tommy and Billy. But we can get more into the meta of that in a bit here. So let's get into the finale discussion. But before we do, guys, if you enjoy the content that you are hearing and seeing on our channel, please, give us a subscribe and ring that bell so you can stay in touch with more of our videos in the future, because we've got a lot more to discuss this year and damn, definitely next year. Marvel is just pumping them out, baby. The finale. And what a way to start. We start with a brief conversation, I think, between Jen and Billy, and then that transitions to death Rio and Agatha. Nick, how do you like these conversations?
Just extremely interesting. My favorite one was the one between Death and or Rio and Agatha. And there's a line that Rio says that made me immediately think of Loki. Right? I think she uses the phrase like sacred order of things, or
Mm.
I forget exactly what it was, but there was a very like Loki-esque, like she's pulling the strings behind the scenes, of course, or what have you. And in some way, she is because she's Death. So
It was neat because this is a moment where we get some clarity as far as motivations go. We start to understand a little bit further why Death is tagging along. We knew that she wanted Agatha, right, from the first episode. That was made very clear to us. But we have come to find out that yeah, she's also very interested in trying to take Billy away,
mhm.
since technically he is someone who has cheated Death as well, and he is an abomination.
One other thing about that scene, when we get Rio, when she exits, she walks like to the back. She turns around and starts walking to the back of the, set, if you will, to exit. And she takes her dagger out and slices a hole through the backdrop, basically. Which, like, when you're watching it the first time, you're like, what? She's like ripping a hole in like reality in some ways, and then like exits the backdrop. And that was like really done on set. Like she took a dagger through the actual backdrop of the set and exited. Wasn't some kind of CGI thing or anything like that. And like they totally ripped up the backdrop of this set design on while filming. And just like a cool little practical effect. It feels a little off when you first see it, and then we find out the reason why it was even why she does that, and there's a reason why it feels a little off, which we can get to that in a little bit later. But um,
Actually, I wouldn't mind. Well, I mean, we could definitely harken back to this, but I wouldn't mind getting into that right now.
great.
Because yeah, I really love that moment because it works on like two different levels. It's the first one being, for what you're referencing, that all of this actually isn't real, right? It's a
Mhm.
manifestation that Billy has created,
Right.
using real references in his life, right? And the other reason why I really love this little moment, because like they didn't have to do it, right? Like it's a moment that contributes not a lot in pushing the plot. It is a neat like inner world detail, but like the other reason why I really love it is it reminds me there's so many references to the Wizard of Oz throughout this show,
Mhm.
and it reminds me of like the backdrop that's in the Wizard of Oz, like on the Yellow Brick Road throughout the entire movie. And like when you look at it with hindsight, right, you're watching that movie and you're like, that's a backdrop. You're like, that doesn't look good, that's fake. So I love that like they kept that detail to demonstrate that this isn't reality,
Mhm.
right? That was a really clever way to do that, very and subtle too.
And then you don't, and then you realize later, once it's revealed that like this whole thing is a manifestation of Billy's idea of what the road would be if it was real. Then you realize like, oh my god, like it felt off, but it's because everything is off. It's all
Mm.
fake, basically, except for the dying. The dying was real. So
We make our way to the final challenge, which takes us to a very sterile morgue. I think this actually ends up being my favorite challenge for the simplicity of it all.
Mhm.
I love that it's in order to grow something, you have to have like this emotional awakening in the morgue, right?
Mhm.
Like there's like a I'm not smart enough to properly explain this. There are smarter people online who I'm sure nail this, but like there's something about a death and a rebirth going on there,
Mhm.
especially with Jen
Oh yeah.
with the unbinding that she does,
Oh.
coming out of, the coffin, right? And then
Mhm.
later when she actually gets what she wants, she's literally digging herself out of the ground, right?
Mhm.
So definitely a rebirth going on there for her. Uh, I would say that that's true for Agatha, but she really just ends up back in the ground at the end of all of this.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so like I said, we get this scene. There's a lot going on in this scene. I think emotionally, that's why I tend to like it so much. There's a revelation that Agatha is the one who bound Jen, which
So fun.
answers a mystery that we've had since finding out what happened to Jen. How did a mortal man do that to her? And then we have Billy and Agatha searching for Tommy and finding him a host body. And then finally, Agatha being able to grow something, which, there's definitely a metaphor there as far as I think Tommy is concerned. Being able to grow something and having it blossom, right? Nick, what'd you think of the final challenge?
Oh, heartbreakingly good. Just kind of what you alluded to, the whole death and rebirth of it all. The unbinding scene with Jen was so good. She's phenomenal.
That
Oh my
was,
goodness.
that's a simple scene, but that was
Yeah,
really powerful.
that was awesome.
It was awesome, Nick. Uh, Sashir Zamanta, she's the actress who plays Jen, and it's amazing that she can take that one line of "you hold nothing" and just find so many different ways to deliver that line
Yep.
emotionally and effectively. I actually I got the teeniest bit choked up when she got to the last "you hold nothing." That was strangely riveting, honestly.
Yeah, it was really good. It's hilarious too that Agatha is the one who ends up being the one that binded her, and Agatha doesn't even remember because she's so horrible throughout her life. She can't possibly remember all the people she's hurt because it's everyone.
Right. Yeah, like that just goes to, I guess, the ultimate truth that we end up learning in the next episode, right? That like everything can almost be explained by Agatha, right? It's Agatha
Mhm.
all along, like
Yep.
like almost everything.
Yep.
After Jen performs the unbinding, we lose Jen, and it is just Billy, and it's just Agatha, and Agatha has this realization that you can leave the road once you get what you want. So she's going to help Billy get what it is that he wants, right? And they go through this like meditative ritual, and then it becomes a matter of trying to find a host body for Tommy to occupy. Am I reading that right?
I don't know if that's what I got from it, but maybe that is right because it was almost like they just kind of found Tommy floating around somewhere.
I
So
think I think Agatha says like like he's always been with you or
yeah.
something along those lines. Like it's a very like talk about Wizard of Oz, like that's a very Wizard of Oz like trope to hit on, right? Like the thing that you were looking for was inside you all along,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like courage, a brain, and a heart, the way home. Dorothy's always had the way home with her,
Right.
right? So I'm pretty sure that's what they were going for there. All that was required was Agatha providing a way home for Tommy, right? Which I think leads to what I think is the most heartbreaking line in this entire show, with Billy very in a very scared and fearful way, Joe Locke, really selling this line of "Am I killing this boy?"
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then he disappears, and it's just Agatha by herself with this line of "Sometimes boys die."
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
Which that line hits harder after you watch the next episode too.
Mm-hmm.
This show has a way of like it's like it hits you, and then you watch another episode, and then you get retroactively whacked in the head again from the previous episode when it's explained even more why something was happening.
Which I guess that segues really beautifully into this confrontation with death,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which I love that they saved this for the last trial, because you can almost argue that this is part of the last trial,
Mm-hmm.
since the last trial is supposed to be for the Green Witch for death, and then we are confronted by Rio after completing the road, which we learn at the end of this episode is not real.
Right.
And that this is why Catherine Hahn, or excuse me, Agatha, does not get her prize from the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll have to talk about that. Why she feels as though she's entitled to a prize when she herself knows that this isn't real.
Right.
Um, that's very interesting. Rio is here, and she wants Agatha, and I really love the first part of this fight that Agatha, she doesn't have her power, but she still has like spells that she can cast, the old-fashioned way,
Right.
analog magic.
Hmm.
And I love that she's trying to do that. And like she almost knows it's fruitless, right?
Hmm.
And Rio is just literally blowing her away.
Hmm.
She's too conceptually powerful to trifle with such like simple witchcraft.
Right.
But I love that Agatha's trying anyway, right? That to me made the fight in the beginning very interesting. And then Billy returns. Billy returns in his Wiccan outfit. He's gone full Wiccan, which in this show you can always go full Wiccan, and that's fine. Uh, so Nick, for me, I love what happens next, right? Billy willingly transfers his power to Agatha. And that she's not going to kill him, but like I love that they make you hang on to that thought long enough, right? Leaving you in that suspense. And then that transitions into our final fight with Death. What are your thoughts on this overall?
I thought it was, I don't know, I guess I was a little shocked that he decided to give her his power. I mean, granted, he didn't lose all of it, but my question is like, so then he's not as powerful now as he was before, right? But he still has some magic. How does that work? That's my whole question. Like, I don't know how power magic transfer works. Like, does that mean Agatha just gets all of her power back that she also had previously because now she has magic in her? Or does she only have like the amount that Billy gave her and then Billy has less? Like, how the shit does this go? Like,
To believe it's like a lizard's tail, like, right? Like you cut off the lizard's tail, you walk away, you got a tail, but like, a lizard's gonna grow it back. Like it's okay. It'll be fine.
so everyone's just got their max power back, basically.
I think, yeah.
Sure. Okay, cool.
Maybe I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
this is the kind of thing where you're like, if you look too hard at it, you're like, what?
Okay,
Um,
I'm the problem. It's me.
yeah, man, just let me enjoy my witch show. Damn it. No, I agree. There's no there's a great terminology for stuff like this. It's like soft magic versus hard magic systems. And Marvel definitely plays with what is referred to as a soft magic system, which like does not really explain what magic is or how it works. It just whatever the plot requires, that's what magic does, and that's
Cool.
okay.
Hey, it works, but for the most part, that's kind of what I was thinking in that moment, really.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that you pointed that out because that got us talking about magic systems, which actually ultimately is my problem with what happens next. And I'm glad that this doesn't last long, unlike WandaVision. Because like right after this, we kind of lose the creativity of the fight and we just go straight into Dragon Ball Z ki blasts, right? And like I come on, like I mean, if there was interesting choreography going on with the magic ki blasts, like that'd be cool. But like it's just Cell versus Gohan, just like throwing kamehamehas at each other, right? Like that's all it is. And I'm sick of watching that. I want to see some creative magic going on. You remember Order of the Phoenix when Dumbledore and Voldemort, they're not just throwing out Avada Kedavras at each other. They're doing creative stuff with their magic, and it's awesome. It's one of the best fights in all of Harry Potter.
yeah,
And
that's
maybe I just wanted that for a
a
Agatha.
great example, actually, of what you can do with like magic battles. That's a great example.
Yeah.
that is one of the best.
I think that's like the definitive magic battle in cinema, honestly.
Yeah, it really is. Well,
Um,
then there's like an embrace, and like Agatha and Rio like
There is.
make out, and then that is also how Rio kills Agatha, which is like
Well, not before Billy decides he's going to sacrifice himself for her, right?
right.
Yeah, Agatha. I don't think she's playing him here. I think she actually had an intention of being like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you should probably get out of here, kid." But then the opportunity presents herself, and she's like, "Oh, well, actually, if I can live."
Yeah, that was a weird like I don't know, like 5 minutes of back and forth, right? It looks like she's gonna leave and turn him over, and then he's like sacrificing himself for her, and then she ends up like changing her mind and coming to Rio, and like, but then like that also means that Rio and her are looking at each other when she's dying, which she said she didn't want to do that. Like the episode before, she didn't want to ever see Rio again. Like, so it's like that was a little bit strange.
No, I totally agree with you here.
Felt a
And
little
this has
rough.
actually been a complaint I think I've had about not necessarily Catherine Hahn's performance. I want to say it's either the writing or the direction on Agatha that I don't understand. I can't tell throughout the entire season when Agatha is saying things like what the exchange she has with Billy, right? If she's being emotionally manipulative with people or if she's an opportunist and
Mhm.
she's just really great at seizing an opportunity. The finale makes me think she's not this great thinker and she's just really great at seizing opportunities.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, so I want to believe that that was a genuine moment that she was having with Billy. But then when the opportunity comes to run away, she's like, "Oh, I would much rather do that." Actually,
Right.
sequence into death where she gets taken by the earth, right? And she produces these flowers, which harkens back to the first challenge, right? Or not the first challenge, the final challenge. What Agatha literally just did before, grow something,
Mhm.
and with her death, she's able to grow more. Um, grow as a person, I don't know about that, but at least offer some abundance. We transition to Billy, and we get the finale here, or get the end of the episode where he has the realization that he manifested the road. Uh, and this transitions into the final episode with Agatha of the past and her son Nicholas.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, Nick, uh, how'd you feel about that revelation?
I was still a little confused, to be honest. I was like, wait, like he created the road, like under the impression that like the road was real still, right? So I was kind of like discovering it with Billy, but it took me a second to really, I was like questioning it. I was like, wait, what? Like, um, I think it's a really cool way to reveal it. Like all of these things that are in his room, basically all these trinkets and things that he's collected over time, essentially have manifested. He manifested into obviously all the trials in the road and everything. Um,
You know what it reminds me of now that you're talking about that? This also being a Wizard of Oz thing where Dorothy's like in her bed and like all the neighbors show up and she's like, and you were there, and you were there, and you were there. It's like it's literally the same thing with Billy looking around his room. He's like, and my poster was there, and my toys were there. It's literally the same scene.
the parallels to Wizard of Oz in this show are
Yeah.
unmatched.
Oh yeah, this show makes no secret about how much it used Wizard of Oz as an inspiration, and it
Awesome.
does. I think it uses all of its inspiration for the Wizard of Oz really well without being like too like pandery about it, right? Episode 8 starts with the birth and death of Nicholas Scratch, right? With Agatha in the forest, and she sees Rio, and she knows what it means,
Episode
and
9.
she episode 9. Sorry, yeah, episode 9. And it's a scene where she begs Death to give her more time, and because Death loves Agatha, she gives her a little bit more time. Um, and we get for the next like 20-30 minutes this really adorable and sadistic and weird evil relationship um between Agatha and her son Nicholas. Nicholas, how are you feeling about that?
Um, that was a really awesome like finale. The episode 9, it almost felt like an extended after credit scene in some ways. Uh, just because we just really we spend most of the episode with Agatha and Nikki Scratch, and really it's just a montage of Agatha teaching her son how to help her steal other witches' power. And we get the realization that like Nikki Scratch is the one who created the Ballad of the Witches Road, and Agatha created the Witches Road, as a scam. And so the whole episode it's really entertaining and obviously heartbreaking in many ways, but and all she's been doing for hundreds of years is stealing power and killing other witches.
This to me was like one of the best moments of the show,
Mhm.
that it's revealed that it was she and Nicholas had written this together. And I think that's amazing because this is a song that has been with us since the beginning. It's a song that we've explored almost every episode, and I think if you're gonna do that, like it can't just be a song, right? Like there has to be something meaningful to it in which that's directly tied to the heart of this story, and it is, and it is. It's something that harkens back to a better time for Agatha, right? And I love that with this reveal, like in context, going back and again the rewatch value of this show, the scenes in which they are talking about the Witch's Road, or even when they're arguing about the lyrics. This scene in rewatch is gonna be great. It's the scene where they're arguing about which lyric to sing,
Mhm.
and and Agatha's like, no, it's this, and then Alice jumps in. She's like, no, my mom wrote the the
Oh
Ballad of the
yeah.
Witch's Road, so like clearly I would know. And like Agatha's sitting there and she's biting her tongue. She's like, but I literally wrote it.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to rewatch that. I saw someone point this out online that they thought it was interesting that so Nicholas is helping Agatha with the con to get witches to sacrifice their power, right? And it's to survive, right? Which I think is actually a line in The Road about like survival, right? And the day he doesn't want to do that, the day that he decides that we're not going to kill witches today, we can kill witches tomorrow, that's the day he dies.
Hmm.
And I thought that was a really interesting observation, and I'm not sure what they're trying to communicate there,
Right.
as far as what that means, right? Like maybe death was only willing to entertain this for as long as Nicholas fueled like what Rio gets out of it.
Right. And the
Um,
second that he is no longer, the second he chooses not to deliver souls one time, Rio's, it's his time.
you're out, kid.
You're out.
Yeah, that's
The heartbreaking thing though too is that like once he's gone, Agatha decides this is really when she decides to like, it really picks up with her stealing other witches' power and killing other witches, and she's essentially she's using the song and this story that they've created, and in some ways keeping the memory of Nikki Scratch alive because they have to sing the song every time, right? So she's, yeah, in some ways forever remembering her son. Weird
is
way to mourn.
well, like that. I love that's happening because we've already gotten an example of that with this song earlier in this show with Alice and her mom, right?
Right.
That every time it's sung, it's a spell that's being cast to protect her.
Mm-hmm.
So like this song is used in like so many different ways in this story by so many different characters.
Yeah.
Either for mourning, for casting a spell, for Billy, it's like a wish fulfillment, right? It's yeah, the song like represents so much. I would love to just like sit there and like pick apart the lines and see like what you can get out of it,
Yeah.
That is really cool. And like we said, we get to that scene with Nick where he does pass, and as you said, Nick, Agatha goes full Harkness and just starts murdering witches through the centuries. And eventually we get the reveal in the present that Agatha has not moved on, and she's a ghost. And dare I say, it looks good on her. She looks good as a transparent aged ghost.
Yeah.
Catherine Hahn's just very pretty.
I'm into it. And it's really just because she's still too scared to cross over and face her son. So she's staying behind, basically. Which I'm glad, because anytime Catherine Hahn is on screen is a good thing. So
Yes.
that's going to be really cool.
I was also happy with this reveal because when Agatha died and we were only on episode 8, I was like, well, clearly she's going to come back. And that made me a little sad because I was like, oh man, are all the deaths going to get undone? Like not that I don't want those characters to come back, but like their deaths like had meaning behind them.
Right.
Right. Especially Lilia. Right.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to undo what was already beautiful, even though you could make the argument that Alice's death wasn't beautiful, but at least like it had meaning to the story, right?
Right.
And it highlights like the sinisterness of Agatha.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they didn't do that, but found a way to like keep Agatha around.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a question for you though. I don't think I quite understand the guilt that she feels or why she feels like she can't face him. I'm not sure like why she feels directly responsible for the death? Like, is it because like he lived a life and not long enough because of her?
That's the only thing I can think of, right? Because instead of him being taken right at birth and not really getting to know what life is and developing his own, like, awareness.
Yeah. Or either that, or maybe she feels remorse for using him like as a tool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just overall sadness, really, I guess, is just not being ready to face him in the next life. But that's it. There's not really a lot of explanation, which is fine, I guess. But that's the only thing I can think of as well with you. So
yeah. But we get another flip flop here. We see Billy and Agatha flip flop with each other a lot throughout this show. We get the final one when Billy returns to the basement, and the door to the road is still there, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And he performs a ritual in which he's going to banish her, right, back into death, and he decides against it when she has her emotional breakdown about why she's still there. And they decide that they actually work really well together, which I think is true. I think that was evident in the second episode, right, when they're doing hustles together. Which, wow, damn, that really, with episode 9, that really highlights maybe why she even sort of liked Billy, right? Because like there is a lot of him that reminds her of Nicholas, like even in his like improv ability to like help her like scam people.
Yeah.
That's actually, wow, yeah, that's actually what he was doing, and he didn't even know it. He knew he was scamming people, but he didn't know that he was scamming them into their deaths, just like Nick.
Right.
I love the show, Nick. I agree with what you said. I think it's one of the best TV shows. I don't know if I could rank them in any particular order, but I think I'd say, Loki, Agatha All Along, WandaVision, probably for me.
Yeah, I think that's I like that. I have to go rewatch WandaVision, but I think that Agatha would actually be number 2 as well. So, yeah.
I think this might be one of the best endings that we've gotten from a Marvel show. I mean, like Loki certainly is up there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the Marvel TV shows usually don't do a great job of sticking the ending.
Yeah.
Almost all of them have a great beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, like somewhere around 3/4 to the end, like they start to like lose their way. And like even WandaVision, I think like stumbles its way into a good ending, right? Like the final episode, they lose their theme, right? Of like exploring life's hardships through sitcoms, right? But then we get like a really tragic goodbye between she and Vision, and like that's great. But again, it kind of abandons its own theme, whereas like this doesn't. Exploring like life's hardships through this song.
Yeah.
And like it nails that theme all the way through. So yeah, I think it's one of the best endings, at least for Marvel TV, that like it's ever done.
Ratings time.
So we do ratings on TV shows out of 10 here to offer a little bit more nuance. Nick, what do you rate Agatha All Along?
9.2.
9.2. I'm right there with you. 9.2, my friend, all the way to the end. Let's go. Same score. Let's go. Let's go. Let's walk the road.
Okay. What's next, Joe? What are we talking about next time?
Oh, probably something that's also going to be mind-blowingly great. The Penguin. And I'm only confident on that because every episode has been so good.
So good.
I have every confidence in the ending and them sticking it.
I agree. There's no way that last episode's not a banger. It's gonna be
I hope we are not setting ourselves up for disappointment there. But yes, I agree. We might be. Hopefully we are not.
Yeah.
But we are recording this, I think, 2 episodes before, or we are 2 episodes behind the finale of Penguin right now. Which means when we film our episode of The Penguin, we will have we just will have not talked about the episode that premiered in the meantime. So, episode 7 of The Penguin, which, we're filming the same day that's coming out. If you are interested in hearing our thoughts on that, Nick, what's the best way that people can pay attention and listen to us?
We are on Threads and Instagram at May the Review Be With You. On Threads specifically, pretty much daily, we're talking about all the things that are streaming currently. Of course, you can find us on YouTube. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And until next time,
may the review be with you.
peace.
Down the road, down the witch's road.